And today's speaker is Lunetta, a venture builder that works in Viessmann that was acquired by Kiro. Please give him a warm applause. Should we tell them a story of how we first met?
Yes. By the way, it's great to be here with the mayor of Split over here.
Yes, next elections are mine.
Yeah. By the way, I have a gift for you all that I brought from Berlin.
Oh my God. Is it some kinky stuff?
Not too kinky. I got some German chocolates. If you ask a good question or a stimulating thought for the time today, you get a chocolate.
Oh.
That's what we do, yeah.
When I first invited him, he said, I'm coming to feed the Balkan dogs. I also have some gifts, like this is otvorac za pivo. We know it's a smileč.
Thanks for the pellet from me.
See the back row paid off.
So I think to celebrate the 145th edition, it's only fitting that you should have a nice whiskey to try.
If you didn't know, like Alan moved from Scotland, from Glasgow, almost 4 years ago to Split, yeah?
Yeah. So I still have a big passion for whiskey, so every opportunity that I get with a friend coming over, like, can you please bring some more whiskey with us? So,
I might be on the floor, yeah. That's like an Allen pour right here. Yeah.
That's like a 55 straight.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan. We won't advertise alcohol that much. So, DJ business at 12.
Yes.
What was the worst gig?
There are too many to count. Originally, I think you guys saw the blurb online. So I grew up in the San Francisco area in the suburbs. Back when it was more kind of blue collar, there were orchards everywhere in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s before it became hot and OpenAI and Anthropic and everything. It was more local, yokel. In a sense, I was talking to Toni about it, how I was asking about his time growing up in Split and how it was, and living next to a teacher or a mailman, etc. And that's kind of how I grew up. But there was always tech there, and there was always building, there was always tinkering. So I think one of the things I took from that area was just trying stuff. At an early age, I had a local neighborhood gardening business, selling lawn mowing door to door. And then at age 12, I started a local DJ business because I had a friend in the neighborhood who was a rapper producing hip hop music, and he gave me a beat machine. And then one thing led to another. I was DJing weddings at 12 years old. And it was just literally, there were no ambitions in the sense of like building something and having a financial gain. I made money, but it was like beer money, or at age buying comic books and that sort of thing. So the aspirations were literally get the hands dirty. And that was the first foray into building, failing a lot, and just like getting comfortable with the unknown, which we'll get into later is really the crux of building. So to answer your question, I would do weddings, dances, fashion shows, everything in between.
Since you were 12.
Yeah, I think the thing I learned actually, which later helped me with product management, was a lot of these events, you get song requests from people. And there would be often an occasion where people would request like heavy metal at a wedding, or like something obscure, and it didn't fit the scenario. And that was like, later I tapped into that, like building products for people, like later when I was at Delivery Hero, a food delivery app, of like you can't necessarily build for everyone, but you need to know like who the customer is, who the audience is, and play to the hits, the songs, and play to the strengths. So it was stuff like that that I used as like a through line later. But again, like no aspirations. It was just like that was how we grew up doing it. And even so, like my parents also blue collar background, and my family's Sicilian by background, so it was a classic kind of American immigrant story. Came to New York, New Jersey, and then they went to California. And even the working age legally in California at that time was 14 years old. And my mother actually forged a work permit when I was 10 so that I could work locally and get paid and be under the tax system. So that was kind of the environment I was in.
That's crazy because nowadays people in Italy and Croatia live with their parents under the like mid-30s. And back then you started working when you were 14.
Yeah, so the child labor laws, was defying all odds.
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
But so that was kind of the starting point that I tapped into later, which we'll get into.
Cool. So you said you're a huge fan of 80s music. If I open up your phone now, what track would be queued on Spotify?
So there was one song that I would always, there were always like a couple songs that would always get a party going. Because there were often events where I'd go to and everyone would be sitting around, especially a wedding. It was a little bit stuffy. So there was always like a couple that would get people moving and shaking a little bit. So the first one is Billie Jean, Michael Jackson. You start to move the hips. And weddings was We Are Family by Sister Sledge. That was another one. So the music tastes are completely random. To answer your question, if you open up Spotify one day, it's jazz. The next it's hip hop. Then it's Motown, reggae. So that was like a gift doing that. All these different events that understanding different musical genres and just the thought of like incubating a new song, whether it's a hip hop song or an R&B song or an 80s song, and understanding like how the creative process through that, and then seeing people on a dance floor actually experience it was pretty incredible. And I was just the deliverer of that. I wasn't the artist, but that was really, I think, an incredible experience to see like real feedback from a crowd.
So if we invite you as a DJ to the next Split City Festival, would you be up for it?
I'm retired already, but for you, anything.
Okay, but you are retired.
So retired in the sense of just when I moved to Berlin 15 years ago.
Okay, I'm joking. We usually bring one of the top DJs in Croatia.
Yeah.
And this is your first trip to Split, right? Mm-hmm. You've been to Šibenik a couple of years ago?
Šibenik 7 or 8 years ago, which was beautiful. And Toni keeps roping me in to visit. He finally did.
Yes, and usually when they come, I take their passports and IDs, so they cannot leave.
Yeah.
No, that's for a boat trip on Friday.
Yeah. Looking forward to
Surgeon is joining us.
Yeah. We got the stuff over here, Alan.
No, but jokes aside, could you please tell us a bit more about your upbringing, childhood in California? We talk about how I grew up on Split 3, this community feeling where everyone interacted with each other, and you told me how San Francisco changed in the past couple of decades. So I'm curious to learn how was it back then, while you were young, DJing, going to high school.
Yeah, I think a couple things. I'm sure everyone hears in the news about San Francisco in today's day and age, and obviously tech and that sort of thing. I think whenever I talk to my family now, and whenever I go back to visit, we always think about the nether years growing up of where tech was always there, but there were other industries that were able to commingle quite nicely. And I think tech obviously has taken quite a priority there for good reason, for better or worse. And I think a city like San Francisco, things like affordability and then the music and art scene, and just my mother being a teacher and having teacher friends that could live locally and thrive locally, and it's unfortunately, again, for better or worse, been impacted by the tech wealth. But I would have neighbors that would teachers and mailmen, and there's also there's like a space industry there, like NASA is there. So I had like neighbors that were scientists, and it was like everyone would come together in harmony. There was no you know,
Mexicans.
like someone made more money than me, or you know how it may be today. It's more of like you're doing something super interesting and cool. And like the meeting of the minds, and then the other thing too that we talked about, like just playing in the neighborhood and with kids and stuff, and we didn't grow up with screens really. So I think that has changed a lot.
It's kind of similar, like we grew up here, like.
Totally, and I think, and one thing I miss, and I'm so happy being here, is just like sun, like 360 days a year, wearing a bathing suit and a shirt. I mean, in Germany, the summers are nice, but the winters are fucking brutal. So yeah, Alan, Glasgow, another, I love Germany, it's amazing, but there's a couple things I miss like that. And we call it the sunshine tax, because it's so expensive there, but you pay because of the weather and
Can you buy vitamin D at the
vitamin
supermarket?
D for sure.
Yeah.
Whereas like half my savings in the winter have to go to vitamin D pills in Germany.
my God.
So yeah.
We are lucky to live here.
Yeah, totally. And you were saying too, like just the mindset of just like being around sun and the ocean air is really incredible. So it's cool that you guys have cultivated this community here and what you're doing, which I think is incredible. And
I mean, you know, one of the reasons I started this because lots of people are moving to Germany, to Ireland, and I was fed up with all this negative news that were present in the media. Like whenever you opened some, you know, news portal, it was always this negativity. You know, people are leaving Croatia. You cannot do anything here, and I believe there is a path for people, you know, that can see it. For example, in my circle, I had friends that made it from here, but you know, they were not in the media. So one of the ideas was, you know, to create this medium like channel Split City to basically showcase all those people that are hardworking, that are thinking globally, living locally.
Yes.
And it also helped me when I founded my company. It was a huge crisis back then, like global crisis in 2008. And in order to stay sane and to protect my optimism and will to create, I had to, you know, basically decide where I'm going to invest my attention. And that was not, you know, this negative bullshit. It was like Twitter, people, builders, you know, people building startups, Amazon books, blogs, and stuff like that. So based on that experience, when I found the Split City, I said, you know, to myself, you know, we are not gonna, it's always gonna be proactive stuff, you know, people building stuff, doing something positive, trying to move things forward. So on Split City, we exist almost 12 years now. It was never, you know, basically playing this mainstream bullshit agenda, you know. So it's always something, you know, we have almost 600 videos from events on our YouTube channel in HD format,
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about living in Europe and that point alone, that there's a lot of incredible people like yourselves building in places that don't get necessarily a lot of love. And the other thing I love about Europe too is just all the different cultures and thinking about building something pan-European wide. Maybe you start in the country in which you started, and then thinking about all the different cultures and languages, and that was always like my biggest gripe. And I mean, we can get into the story of how I made it here, but just I know a lot of people in the U.S. that haven't left the U.S. and it's very. Alan's watching me over here. Yeah, sure. And just knowing multiple languages and being exposed to multiple cultures, and that was why I'm always so impressed with Europeans in that way, and why I love being here and as well, like in building.
But while growing up, did you hear stories about Europe from your like grandparents? Because you told me when we talked online a couple of weeks ago that you always felt like it's a motherland, you want to explore it. So yeah, could you please tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so the family's Sicilian by background, so...
Is it mafia or no?
I no comment. Grew up knowing, unfortunately didn't grow up learning Italian because my family went there like many other immigrants and wanted to localize and assimilate. So unfortunately later I made up for that. But just, I think, and my parents had for work, and my father for work had traveled to Europe and stuff, and they'd always bring back stories of their time here. Again, new cultures, new experiences, and just always felt like San Francisco and the area will always be there, but there's a bigger world out there with a lot of amazingness. And that was kind of at an early age, something that I found. And then fast forward to university, I was playing water polo, which I know is a very big sport here. We were talking about that. In my bachelor's degree, I wanted to live abroad and play water polo.
Is it high school or elementary school?
This was in the bachelor's degree.
Oh, okay.
So I did a semester in Rome, Italy, and I had like long lost cousins that were living there. That was like, I need to, again, like from an early age, I felt like I wanted to just get out of there, which is funny, like being there, there's a lot happening. So anyway, I moved to Rome and just was drinking Negronis all day and eating cacio e pepe, and I was like, Europe is incredible. And to your point around the motherland, I felt like a kinship. This was like the ancestry. I almost felt a kinship more than like being in the U.S., funnily enough. And then, so that was like the seed crystal of it. This was May 2012. So I finished the 6-month semester, and I said, I have one goal in life now. As soon as I finish my last university, I'm going to do whatever it takes to come back and live and work in Europe. And that was May 2012. And when I came back to the U.S., I probably applied to over 100 different companies, just willy-nilly throwing out applications. And I didn't hear back from really any of them. Maybe I had a couple rejections. So I was, in the U.S., I had no really leg to stand on of, like, who is this person that wants to come work over here? And I applied everywhere through Europe. So then I said, okay, well, think about the experiences that I had growing up building and tinkering. Part of the building and tinkering thing is like you have to bob and weave and pivot and recalibrate things. So what I did was, okay, this is not going to keep working. So what I did was, I said, look, I have a Sicilian background. Food is a political weapon in the family. We're possessed by food. Maybe combine food and tech. And I was like, okay, maybe start there. So I looked up what were the food tech companies in Europe in 2012 in the summer. This was June when I was doing this. And there were two companies. There was Food Panda and Delivery Hero. So what I did was, in true creative fashion, I cold emailed the CEOs of both companies, and I said, hey, I'm writing an article on food tech companies in Europe. I want to interview you. And I wasn't writing an article, and I wasn't a writer at all. But I was like, fuck, I got to get my leg in the door here. So one of them answered, and that was Nicholas, the CEO of Delivery Hero, who's still the CEO today. The CEO, yeah. And I actually looked at the email I sent like the other day. It's like 8 paragraphs long, like my life story. I would throw it to spam now. So I wouldn't advise that. But
nowadays it will be like AI created this, you know.
He probably took pity on me, honestly, if I'm thinking about it. So he said, he wrote back. And he said, talk to our PR person. And I actually didn't interview him. I interviewed Susan, the head of PR. And at the end of the interview, I said, Susan, this sounds great. Like, do you have any job openings? And I'm like, trying to. So she said, oh, yeah, you can talk to our head of recruitment, Linda. And this was like August 2012. And there was a lot of back and forth organizing. So I had a call with Linda. I said, Linda, here's who I am. And she said, oh, you sound great, but we don't have anything. And then from October to December, I was sending her Skypes every week. Hey, Linda, how's it going? She was, anything opening?
During that time,
yeah.
You still were in San Francisco, right?
I was going to school in Arizona at the time. Yeah. So I was just like, again, just willy-nilly, just, Linda, do you have anything? Didn't hear anything back. And then before Christmas break, she said, okay, we can do a call just to catch up. I said, can we just do a call? Again, we don't have anything for you. Fast forward to end of February 2013, I had like a week before I had a school break, like it was ski break back there, what they call it. And I said, hey Linda, I'm gonna be in Berlin next week. Do you want to meet for coffee? And I, yeah, sure, come by the office. I wasn't gonna be in Berlin. I was like, again, switching up the tune a little bit. So I booked a flight and I flew over to Berlin. Turns out I was coming from, at the time, I think 30-degree weather to the worst history in Berlin, like 2013, awful snow, like this high. And I was like, what am I getting myself into here? So I show up at the office with a duct taped together winter jacket that I had no business wearing. I show up at the office, I meet with Linda. She says, yeah, sounds great, we'll keep in touch. I hear back from her a couple weeks later. She goes, we don't have anything for you yet. And I was like, oh man, this is like the last semester of university, and I have pressure from my parents and peers that are already finding jobs. But again, I was like, this is the goal that I set.
It reminds me of this comedy movie when this guy, like some prince in Africa, came to New York.
Yeah, coming to America.
Come to America, so we're coming to Germany.
Yeah, definitely. Not as crazy of an outfit, but yeah. Yeah, so she says, we don't have anything for you. And then a month later to, I believe, end of March, I say, Linda, look, I'll come clean toilets in the office. Like, what, do you have anything? And she goes, all right, we have an internship with our marketing team. I'm gonna set up and interview you with the marketing director. I was like, okay, thank you. So I had a call with the marketing director, and they said, well, this is someone who's writing, back then, more you would appreciate this, SEO, writing restaurant descriptions for our multi-SEO website army that we have. Do you want to do that? The pay is 300 euros a month.
Oh.
And I was like, sign me up. So I finished my last exam early May. I told the university, mail me my diploma. Screw graduation. I packed a bag and then I moved to Berlin in May 2013. And we could get into the delivery hero story, which is also kind of wild. But I think it was the early days of the faking of the work permit and the business and the neighborhood stuff of like. It was. I almost made it, and I don't know if I would advise this. I almost made it existential that if I didn't reach the goal, I would end up moving back home. Which for a lot of people and a lot of my friends are still there, and it's an amazing area, San Francisco and stuff. But I was like, it wasn't for me in a sense, in a weird way. So that was, basically the test.
I'm curious to learn more about like why Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Why Berlin? Is it because there are many similarities between San Francisco and Berlin, like mix of cultures, people are open,
How many of you have been to Berlin? So it's like one big Depeche Mode album, is how I would describe it. Grungy but sexy and very, eclectic, east-west juxtaposition in the city. And I was like completely geeking out about that. And it's very akin to what San Francisco is like, art, music, and coming together in a nice amalgamation. There's tech and other stuff coming together. So that was the first reason. I looked at London and other places, but I was like, this is the place. And then the third reason was that's where Delivery Hero and Food Panda were located. So it was, I put all my stock in that basically, which turned out great. But yeah.
So you were like mid-20s?
Early 20s.
Early
yeah.
20s, yeah. And what was your like first impression of Berlin, like being there 6 months? How did you know, like when was the point that you knew I'm gonna live here long term? Because now it's almost 13 years, right? And you still plan to live there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, and then going back to the story, so they said, we have an internship for you, it's 300 euros a month, but it's 6 months. So they basically gave me a lifeline, but it was only 6 months. So I moved there, was doing, the SEO internship and trying to be a good intern. And then 2 months into the internship, the head of the product management said the company was going through a massive rebrand, multi-million euro rebrand of the Kiro logo and some of the other things. And the head of product management said, like, hey, I need someone to take screenshots of our mobile website, again, dating ourselves when mobile websites were all the rage, so the designers know which screens to redesign. I need someone to do that. And I raised my hand, I was like, I'm happy to do that. Like, no one else wanted to do that work, because, yeah, they didn't want to waste their time. So I said, I'm gonna make the best damn screenshots possible for this guy. And what I did was, I stayed up all night in the office, and at 1 a.m., guess who comes walking down the hallway?
CEO.
Nicholas, who I emailed 7 months earlier, or 9 months earlier, and he goes, oh, what are you doing here? Like, and I actually didn't get to talk with him because I was like a low, measly intern, and there were 150 people in the company, but I was a nobody. I was just, there. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. And then, so anyway, I saw him, it was like 1 a.m. I made this PowerPoint with all the screenshots and arrows and stuff. And I sent it to the head of product management like 4 a.m. And he goes like, you didn't need to stay up all night doing that, but I appreciate it.
Okay.
3 weeks later, he comes to me and says, hey, I'm going on holiday for 4 weeks. I've already booked my flights. I need someone to like take over the full digital rebranding of everything. Can you do that? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, you need to do this, this, and this, and basically run an engineering team and a product team and designers and business analysts. I didn't know what an API was. I didn't know how to inspect Element in a browser. I didn't know what Jira was. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Great. So he basically just dropped me into the deep end, and it was like 5 months into the internship. And then this was like December 2013.
Still earning 300.
Yeah, I was living in a flat share in Berlin with 5 women, me, and 1 bathroom.
Oh my God.
So you can imagine how that was. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. to take showers. It was fun. I had a mattress on the floor. I still had the plastic underneath. Eating beans and rice, and yeah, it was fun. Berlin is cheap in a sense. I made it work. Basically, I got dropped into the deep end with like very, very difficult engineers and designers, and they were like, "Who the hell are you?" Basically. And I had no business being there at all. I had no background, no technical background. I studied business and law, but I couldn't take a test to save my life. But again, it was like I had a month left on the clock, and that was the goal that I had set a year earlier. And I was like, this is existential. So basically, long story short, it ended up being a success, and I talked my way into another 6-month contract, and they kept like giving me intern contracts until like 2 years into it, and they finally gave me a contract that I could use for my visa. And I took over the app development for the UK brand, managing iOS developers, Android developers, designers. So it was like a school of hard knocks on product, and again, like the DJ business, understanding product management in a music sense, but translating it to a massive food delivery business with 10 million users a month using the apps. So it was, again, I wouldn't advise that. I was running on the seat of my pants in a lot of ways, but it was just setting one goal and making it happen, whatever it takes.
You went all in.
Yeah.
No, it's like, but I really like that approach, like fake it until you make it. Like how you fake like this, I'm gonna be in Berlin. I have a similar story now. We are negotiating with a company from London that needs like commerce development team, and we clicked on the first meeting as they like that Alan is like from UK, and then we send them a specification with an estimate, and to put a bit of pressure on them, we said like we're gonna be in UK next week, but we have flexibility to meet you in London on Monday evening or Tuesday morning if you want. Like, and of course I checked flight, EasyJet, Monday morning, coming back like Tuesday. Still waiting for their reply. Let's hope it will work like in UK. So.
Well, I think it was. I think the point is like yes, there's the fake it till you make it element and doing whatever it takes. But also understanding that there are many routes to get to a yes, and a saying I always...
And be creative.
Yeah, being creative, and a saying that my parents always told me that they learned from their immigrant parents and great-grandparents. The no is always in your pocket, might as well go for the yes. And that was kind of like similar to what you're saying, is that even through rejection, or maybe you don't meet them now, but 6 months from now, there could be something that you incubate and start.
Does anyone have a similar story of like fake it until you make it?
I got chocolate for you too, yeah.
I'm sure Morten, you have one.
Yeah.
I mean, no, not fake.
Morten?
Just working hard like crazy.
Yeah.
And, when everybody else went home, I was sitting there till midnight and got thrown into projects which I basically thought, fuck, this is insane, but I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
No, but that's attitude. I mean, I can imagine, like that moment when Niklas showed you like at 2 a.m. in the office, it told everything. Like you're a hustler.
And by the way,
and that's why he gave you this big challenge. He's seen something.
Definitely.
Great move by you and him. Like
yes.
He gave you trust. I'm gonna put this kid in. I'm gonna throw him into the fire, and let's see what happens.
Definitely. And we can get into kind of the next steps, but Morten, you would appreciate too, and maybe some others as well, that it often doesn't work out as well. It can go the other way, which we can talk about. That was, I think, just a lot of lightning in a bottle, in a sense. And when you're building stuff, that is often, one key component to it. Startups have teams and market timings and product and the lightning in a bottle. So I think there was a lot of that. But I think to answer your question is like, you have to put yourself in those scenarios. You got to get the at-bats and opportunities. Even if they don't work, there could be something around the corner, and that was what I was getting the rejections originally.
So you didn't have a 9 to 5 mindset.
Yeah, now I'm working for a big corporate, so I eventually got there. But
okay, but back then, it's something we is there anybody in the audience that's still looking for their first position? Everyone is employed. That's good.
Is anyone thinking about something new? It could be starting something, career path. It could be moving somewhere new. Just thinking.
So also, I was born in America, but family's from here.
Okay.
But,
yeah, you got it, man. Yeah. Yeah, cool.
No, but one thing I remember being in my 20s and in school, all this, is there's that sort of like, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to get this done, get that done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the European mindset or maybe it's just the influence of Facebook and social media and generation and things, but it feels like a lot of folks expect to come out of university and just have everything kind of on a silver platter and have their, 9 to 3, not even 9 to 5, and have their long French lunch and their this, and you know what I mean? Like, I kind of miss that. I mean, US overworks us and trains us to be overworkers and really go a lot of their job and stuff. But like, I don't see what you've described. Your drive is a lot in people out of the undergrad or master's program anymore. Do you have any thoughts on where that is or why that is? I'm trying to figure out, is that just kind of the EU just having a lot of work protections, or the new generations being influenced by social media or influenced by their background? But it's just something that I feel like I've noticed a generational gap. I don't know if it's geographical or generational, but there's something different about 23-year-olds nowadays.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of that with the Instagram, TikTok generation, where there's stuff like at beck and call. And I saw this too working at Delivery Hero, where you had food delivery at beck and call, and then there was Uber, and so I think that was like the palate cleanser to what you're saying, where you're expecting stuff to be there for you when you want it. In my role today, I am part of a corporate that we invest in a lot of companies, and actually we see a lot of startups today that are working incredibly hard, even in their early 20s, but 30s and 40s, that they are building incredible stuff and also working incredibly hard. So I do see the other side as well. And I'm with you that the work laws and the work cultures and styles is different, across the pond. But I do see the other side, that there are people building amazing things that are really, giving it the go. And I have a lens of Berlin and Germany, and maybe we can talk about some other places. But does that answer your question? Or?
Yeah, it's a bit generational.
Yeah, definitely.
This guy has an interesting story.
Yeah, we'd love to hear. Yeah, we'd love to. Yeah, do you want to share some?
Come with the chair. Come and join us.
Yeah. So you said your family is from the States?
I was born in New York, but my dad's from here, and I lived in San Francisco for 7 years.
Nice.
Right in the 20-teens. So right as you left, I was driving.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The gentrification of East Bay and all of that.
Oh,
Where are you from?
Sunnyvale.
South
area.
Yeah, the South was already gone by the time I got there.
Oh, yeah.
East Bay, even Livermore was getting gentrified by the time.
Okay, yeah. Whenever I go back, I'm going back in a couple weeks, I get a reverse culture shock. After a couple days, I want to come back here. So, yeah.
I remember, being 2014, driving past the field with cows.
Yeah.
2019, it was just 500 homes that got put in.
Definitely. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about earlier, where it had a local yokel element, where So
imagine this. So basically, John worked in high school in San Francisco, right?
Yeah. But let's keep it.
No.
Okay.
This should be engaging. You guys are part of the story. And during COVID, he decided, okay, I'm fed up with this bullshit in California. I'm moving back to my home country, and I'm starting an international school. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to deal with the bureaucracy. It's been a long journey, but today his international school has more than 180 kids.
No kidding.
Yes, so big applause.
Awesome, amazing. So the entrepreneurial spirit can come in multiple forms. That's what makes it amazing, right?
I did a one-year tech startup in California too.
Okay, yeah, so
and I was like, well, I'm tired of the startup world. I'm going back to teaching.
Amazing.
And for 6 years, and I ended up here with nothing to do, so I started a school.
Amazing. And the school is local here, or?
Yeah, we're about 12 kilometers out of the city.
Okay, cool. That's great. Nice.
And then his school is the reason why some of the highly successful people from Silicon Valley moved to Split. Like one of the guys, some Armenian guy that sold his company for 500 million in San Francisco, decided to come to Split because his kids can go to international school. It was Croatia was green during COVID, you could travel to Croatia easily. And many others. I met through they will attend the events that we organize through Split Tech City. So it's great to have something like that in Split.
Great product market fit over here.
Yeah, it just kind of worked out as a fluke. A lot of half-assed were kind of looking to come back, and a lot of brands on sort of second and third generation Croatians looking to come back.
Yeah. It's such a great spot living here too. I mean, California's great, but I take this.
You got a lot of Germans that are done with Germany.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. I know I'm done after a couple of days, but I fortunately have commitments over there, so yeah.
John, what are the 2 lessons you learned on this journey of building an international school?
the bureaucratic barriers that you talked about and that whole attitude and things that you can't succeed in Croatia, this and that. You can succeed in Croatia, but the barriers in the EU are higher than the barriers in the US for innovation. I'm sure Germany has a similar sort of thing where it's just the way the laws work, the way things, they're not designed to support startups, and they're not designed to support sort of mobility or agility. They're designed to support like big companies with big stable jobs. Someone's going to get a job and they're going to work there for the next 10, 20 years. Whereas in California, it's very much like, I'm going to do 3 years at Google and then I'm going to go open AI, or I'm going to try to start a thing, and then if that doesn't work out, I'll go to Facebook. Like in the US, it's much more normal to switch jobs, especially in tech, a number of times throughout your career. Whereas in the EU, it's kind of like you find your seat and companies open seats and the law protects those seats, and then you've got your seat. And then there's, I think, there's both a complacency that comes with it, and there's the bureaucratic barriers that come with it. I think that's one big thing that was a big surprise, coming from the California mindset to the EU mindset.
And what is advantage of being here?
Sorry?
What is advantage?
I think one of the positive things, and one of the really nice things here is, I don't want to say there's more diversity because the US is very diverse, but I think that the EU is interesting because you're like a United States of Europe almost in a way, but there's so many more differences between the member states. You know what I mean? When you think about that central market, and there's a lot more mobility between, I would say, Germany and Croatia and Austria and Slovenia and Italy and all this. There's a lot going on there, but there's so many cultural differences. Where if you look at like California and Arizona, like I can list the cultural differences, like we've both been to a place and all of this, but like there isn't a big language difference, there isn't this, there isn't that. So Europe is just like somehow, as you move towards that United States of Europe model over the next century, which is probably going to happen.
I think we'd rather belong to China.
Sorry?
We'd rather belong to China than the United States.
Well, no, but like it's part of the EU's goal to be relevant in a world where you have these big economic powers. Is that single?
Who would rather belong to China nowadays?
Well, Europe should belong to Europe. You just got to, like integrate a little more, and then you'll have that weight.
You mentioned that the water polo taught you discipline. Yeah, could you please tell us some more about that, because you still practice nowadays. You spend your days at the pool, playing water polo, I guess, or
yeah, still getting my butt kicked, and the being out of shape is much harder than it was back then. I think it was the discipline of seeing things through, I think, was really the big thing that I took from it. Whether or not it works out, but just I'm going to commit to doing something and I'm going to do it. And especially in building companies or being in a wider team, trust and accountability and getting stuff done, it really goes a long way. I mean, from your company, it's a small but mighty team, and everyone trusts each other to get stuff done. And however it gets done, you kind of come together and do that. So that was, being on a team and playing, and waking up early, and the training and stuff. But I think that's really what I took.
So that's why it was easier to wake up at 4 a.m. in Berlin to take a shower.
Completely, yeah. I was digging into the tank there. Yeah, yeah. That was interesting.
You said like it's important to have some kind of like disciplined practice outside of work.
Yeah, I think I think it's talked about a lot now. Is just we live and die by the work, and we live and die by the work in the scorecard. But having a hobby or work, or exercising, or having a creative pursuit outside of work, I think is good. I struggle with it because I would just pour my whole self into stuff, and then after Delivery Hero building a couple companies. As well, it was a similar thing, but I haven't solved it by any means. I don't know if I have good advice there.
Yeah. And how long that Delivery Hero journey lasted? As you mentioned, you've been there like until IPO and acquisition.
Yes, so I was there 5 years, 2013 to 2018, and then I was looking after the UK app development, and then Delivery Hero is a company went public, and then the UK brand got sold off to a company in the UK. And then I started another company after that, which was based off a couple pains that I experienced there of building a mobile app, iOS, Android for millions of users, but always having project delays and inefficiencies in the development process. So I started a company that basically solved development inefficiencies and schedule delays. So it was basically an enterprise SaaS platform that would plug into the development environment, give you an estimated release date and why things were inefficient in the development environment. So I was building that for 4 years, and like we were talking about earlier, built out a team, built out a product, but did not have any sort of market timing, didn't have product market fit, and basically put all my savings into it, and we ran out of money, and I ran out of money, and the company failed. So that was like...
So you burned your own money.
Completely, yeah, because I believed in it, and I lived the pain. But like I was saying earlier, there was a modicum of success before, and then I saw the other side of the spectrum of like
building your own startup.
Complete another failure, and I didn't recover from that till like 1 or 2 years ago. Like that was tough.
Did you take any investment or?
No, I just
bootstrapped.
Yeah, bootstrap, kept it super lean, and I believed in it, but the market didn't pan out, and it was a vitamin painkiller thing at the end of the day. That we had some usage of customers, but they said like, hey, this is pain number 10 on our list. I have 9 others that are way more important. And that's unfortunately the trappings and the ugly side of startups.
Yeah, but when did you know it was over? Like,
well, I was building it for 4.5, 5 years, and
when you burned your money completely, or there were signals from the market. Or?
Yeah, doing it how I did before again, like pivoting and recalibrating. I did that for too long, in retrospect, but I feel like that was a time that I grew probably more than even the Delivery Hero experience. That was like where I took to the next step to be able to do more things, because I got hit in the face a bunch of times. Again, I wouldn't advise that, and it wasn't fun, and mentally it was quite tough, but
yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
I didn't know that.
I needed to get rid of it anyway.
How did you keep your motivation through the failures or bad decisions? What made you not give up on everything?
You mean in the company that ended up failing, or just
through the whole process?
I think I was still holding on to, funnily enough, that existential of like, I'm gonna have to move back to California. Like I have California is not that bad. I know. There was that, and I think
it's like Bangladesh, huh?
yeah, and I think I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, because I was a bit of an imposter when I was at Delivery Hero. They had me take over the app development. I had no business doing that.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah, so I was really a nobody. I mean, I studied business, and I had built and tinkered and stuff over the years, but it was, I think it was the chip on the shoulder. It was all jokes aside, having to go back home. I loved Europe and Berlin, and that was like to keep me going. And then I think for a startup too, you have the scorecard, the external scorecard that you're working towards, which I grappled with, of like, can you get an exit? Is this thing gonna be monetarily interesting? Because I had it not for myself, but a company who had that, and seeing people do that. So it was an amalgamation of those things. Again, I wouldn't advise those are particularly healthy. That's just like what I did.
I can see the scenario where you're in a new company, you have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You got a new project you have nothing. You have no knowledge about. It would be a major burden, not the motivation for most people.
Yes, definitely. It was completely demoralizing in a lot of ways, especially like having to sell, potential investors and customers, and being told no. And it was a different no than when I was applying to the jobs years previously. It was like a personal affront in a lot of ways, because I was pouring not only money but myself into this thing that I was just hitting walls. But
yeah, get the motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
In spite of that.
And there were for sure times where I was like, what am I doing here? Why am I putting myself through this mental anguish in a lot of ways? And I don't think people need to do that experience to be able to grow and be in levels of uncomfortableness. That was just what I did, just being attracted to that level of uncomfort and.
You embraced the uncomfort.
That was, I think, what I always knew, and how I like the method of.
No, but that's the only way to grow.
Through it. Yeah.
For example, when I founded my company, I worked from my bedroom maybe for 2 years. Then I seen like this is not sustainable. Like I don't want to live next to fridge, to work next to fridge. I gained like 20 kilos in those 2 years. It was really stressful. Oh. Stop laughing, you're fatter than me.
Alan, you want to chocolate? You hungry?
give him two, please. And then I rented the first office when I was 21. And like my generation was buying cars, like showing off. And I had, like office to pay, electricity, water, internet. And that gave me an extra motivation because, I wanted like, okay, I want to earn enough so this doesn't like bother me. So I can pay it, and still, do other stuff with the earning. So I think it's really great, great, especially in 20s, when you can fail so many times, and learn so many things. I always tell people like when they ask for advice, like, what should I do? Don't buy stuff, like invest in experiences, like for example nowadays when people apply on to a job role in Agilo, I'm surprised that like maybe 1% of people have like volunteer experience, especially in these market conditions when it's hard to find job. Like we had the craziness on the market maybe from COVID until 2.5 years ago. People will hire waiters to become developers, and it was lots of greed on the market, and people didn't enter the industry because maybe of the love they have towards the technology. It was more like, I'm gonna be paid well, and nowadays I see that those people are the first that are getting laid off. Companies are not looking more at the values, what are you bringing to the table. In my own company, and AI is advancing. It's making some parts of the work easier. But what are you as a human bringing to the table? Are you bringing best of the humanity? Like, are you trying to be a better communicator, having more empathy towards colleagues, like trying to influence colleagues positively? So that's what I'm looking for nowadays. But so after your startup failure, you started seeking for another job, right?
I actually then started another company after that.
Another company?
Yeah. So I started a golf business after that.
But were you living alone or sharing with 5 women?
No, I eventually moved.
This was with 10 women. 10 women.
No, yeah, I moved out of that place eventually. So it wasn't a crazy enough, terrible experience to start one company. I decided to start another. So I started a golf business that was selling online golf balls and online golf products in the U.S. market. So I was running it from Berlin and then building for a completely different time zone, 9 hours behind, and it was started at the COVID with a couple of friends locally in Berlin who were also golfers. And so that was in 2020.
And how did
Yeah.
But you came to the idea of like,
Yeah, so I grew up playing golf, but it was always a hobby, kind of a fun thing. And do you golf or? Oh, okay. So golf, especially in Europe, is like very expensive and stuffy, and a lot of barriers to get into it. In the States, it's less so, but it's also equally very, very expensive. So the four of us were out playing golf one day, and we were losing a lot of golf balls, and that's like emptying your wallet out essentially. And we said, like, why are we losing golf balls of like old stuffy brands that are like our parents and grandparents' brands. Like we're digital natives, we're consuming stuff in new ways. Why not build a golf ball company that also gives people incredible quality but a much better price? And we also started a golf community as well as another component to it in the business. So that was the impetus of the idea. So I was flying back and forth to the States and Berlin and you know, working at night into the night on the business. And again, I wouldn't advise that, you know, doing a 9-hour behind difference or 6 hours, but that was the background.
That's interesting because you came here with like a food industry experience.
Yeah.
Like people in Croatia just settle and keep flowing with the industry.
Yeah.
And you just change it like
Yeah.
in one night, right?
Definitely. And so one of the other founders that I started with, I worked previously at Delivery Hero. So all of us had like a consumer tech background. So it was direct to consumer, e-commerce. So there was a consumer element to it. So we were using the consumer muscles to be able to do that. But it was also like insane because it's a market that is incredibly mature. There's a lot of behemoth companies that everyone knows. So like for a startup with, again, like champagne taste on a beer budget, like we didn't raise money or anything, we were just pulled some capital together ourselves, was probably like crazy in hindsight because there's all these like traditional companies that everyone already knows. So like convincing consumers, like consumer businesses are 100 times, million times harder than enterprise businesses because it's just like consumers have everything that they want and more, and there's like a million golf brands, and like what were we gonna do? But we found some angles to do that.
So what did you do? What were those angles? How did you do that?
So we said like the golfers should have incredible products. Like golf balls are like, you know, part of the experience. So we said like before we do the golf balls, we want to build a grassroots community from the ground up. Like golfers like us, younger generation, millennial, maybe a little bit older, that are consuming golf content online, thinking about golf in different ways. They're playing music on the golf course. They're drinking maybe a doobie or two, completely less stuffy. That's our target, and we want to build a community for them. And what we did was basically started with a golf event with 10 people in California, and that grew to basically events across the US with like 50 people at each event. And again, I was like going back and forth, but they were looking, especially during COVID, they were looking for stuff that they could do outside, and that also helped with the business, but also like a common bond of not only the game, but like an experience that they wanted to have on the course. Once we got that off the ground, we then sprinkled in the products, and that was much better than doing product first, community second. And it's a lot of what you've done here is you started with 5 people in a pub, and then look what it's become today.
Yeah, but it's still it wasn't easy at the time. So for example, maybe from 5th to 20th meetup, it was really hard. Why? Because the same people will show up at the events. The meetup wasn't growing. And then I started having like self-doubt. You know, does it make sense to organize this? I keep seeing same people, hearing same stories. And then, you know, in the next meetup or in a couple meetups, 10 new people came, and then they brought their friends. So you know, it's with everything. Even like with Split X City, it was the hardest to get the first 5 members. I remember Antonio and I were sitting with some companies a couple times over a coffee. We took them for a lunch just to convince them, you know, this is good for you, this is good for community. But they never supported the organization like ours, so they didn't have this habit. And I also think, you know, like during that hardest period, you know, like people are, you know, the world is testing you how much trust you're gonna give yourself before the world shows you trust, gives you trust. Yeah. So it was with everything. Does anyone else have similar story here, like of you know, like getting those first 5, you know, customers, and how much effort you need to invest into that, and then like say from 5 to 35, it was effortless. From 35 to 75, still, you know, it was easy. But I think that's the hardest part of any startup journey, getting those first 5. And that's where most people give up. But you need to invest, like, you know, 80% of the energy in those first 5, and then it's so much easier to scale afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it just breaking the ice and just, you know, getting the first couple rabid customers and people believing in it. For sure.
Yeah, and I wanted, with the meetup, I wanted to quit in 2013, 14, you know, like these, you know, same people showing up, the community is not growing, why I'm doing this, but I kept consistency. And then, you know, you see, you break those walls, new people come, they see your enthusiasm, and then they invite new people. And then Split Tech City was founded in 2015, and you know, so I will miss so many great things, and like I will really be poor, but not financially, but with social capital. If I stop doing this, when I had this internal voice, and we all have self-doubt, and I'm sure you had lots of self-doubt along this journey. So with this ODIN startup, like, did you have any revenue? When did you decide to close it? What was the next step afterwards?
Yeah, so we, through COVID, rode the tail end of, you know, it being an outdoor activity, so that helped a lot. So the previous startup I had, Kiro, had 0 market timing. That was also a big benefit. And we were bootstrapped and had always been bootstrapped, so we didn't bring in any outside capital. Basically, as a business, as a consumer business, you live and die by the cohorts, the people coming back and buying. And we were able to build a great enough experience, like you said with the meetup, if you're delivering not only consistency, but a great consistent experience and a product, people come back time and time again. So that was something that we also did, we were very intentional about. Yeah, we built the company, you know, business was incredibly healthy and growing, but we decided to close it. The 4 of us had day jobs, and 2 of the other founders started families, and we couldn't give it was also like, I was burned out, like, you know, doing the day job and then building at night, and then I said, like, we can't give this business what it needs. It's actually doing well, and that's to your question earlier, like, how do you know when to stop? And we decided, like, we're going to stop when the going is good. So
you're still friends with them?
Yeah, we ended on a positive note, for sure. Any founder dynamic is hard. It can be very difficult, and it was very cathartic, you know, the process going through that we did, and we just were very hard-headed about it, and just said, like, look, this is where we sat down and, you know, together.
Would you start another company with friends, or not them, maybe some others?
I think the lesson would be that I have is I need to feel like pull maybe to start something now. So with the gig I have now, there's a lot of startup interactions, which is cool. I can scratch the startup itch, which we can talk about. But I feel like in today's day and age, I would need, like, going through, like, a bad experience, and then maybe, like, a good experience, but you're not doing it anymore. It needs to be, like, incredibly compelling to do that. Just having the arrows on the backs from that.
Just a quick background story of how we met. We didn't say it at the beginning.
You actually asked me this at the beginning, and I spaced. I apologize.
So basically, I won't mention the name of the company. We'll tell more. But while you're still part of this company that was acquired by huge American corporation, right? And we used to work on a project together. And it was really cool project and cool dynamics that we had, and I always appreciate your, like, openness and energy you were bringing to the meetings, and always, you know, like, moving stuff forward, you know, with this positive attitude. And I invited you even back then to come to the event at some point, right? We still collaborated.
Yeah.
And when this company acquired your company, then this project was put on a pause, like, and who knows, at some point something might be reactivated, but doesn't matter. I'm happy that we managed to get to meet through this project, and that now you are here. So could you please tell us some more about the company that you now work for? How did you get that job? Was it immediately after this second startup?
And I'm grateful to be here with you guys, and it's really, the world is small in a lot of ways, which is cool. So I was running the golf business, and then the other caveat with the golf business was none of us were making paychecks. So again, I wouldn't advise that, like running a company. So eventually I was like, okay, I need to get a day job to keep the lights on. So 3 years ago, I joined a company called Viessmann, which is in the HVAC space. It's a German traditional company. You guys may know it. It's heating, heat pumps, industrial heating. And then 2 years ago, we got bought by Carrier. It's a U.S. public company which does air conditioning. Toshiba, they also own Toshiba. You may see some of that here. At Viessmann, I was running a marketplace business, hence why we were doing business together. It was a heating and cooling rental marketplace, and Morten had a lot of great advice too on that. Well, working in a corporate has a lot more trappings than a startup. So Carrier basically came in, and we decided not to continue with the business, and we ended up closing it down. So I was like, okay, well, I've closed something down before, so this is fine. No hard feelings. And then I joined a newly formed ventures team. So Viessmann had venture building, so building and incubating almost startups, and that's what I was doing before, like inner corporate startup building. And then we decided to do less and less of that because the market was moving so quickly around us, around AI, and doesn't make sense for us to build stuff anymore. So then we formed a new ventures team with one arm, which is called venture clienting, which is essentially startup partnering. So instead of building something, looking for pains and challenges across the business, and then bringing incredible teams and technologies in to help solve those challenges. And then the third thing that we have is investing. So Carrier has a corporate venture arm, and they wanted to invest more in Europe. So we helped form that too, which is also cool. So again, it's like scratching the startup itch, seeing a lot of startups, seeing a lot of incredible technologies, not on the building side, but on the different side, which is quite cool.
Is there anybody in the audience that's building a startup they can acquire? No, but so basically now it's like you are like entrepreneur. Basically you have lots of responsibilities to build stuff within a larger organization. Freedom, like to behave kind of like entrepreneur, like you when you were running your own startup. And is there a huge difference in pace of doing business between your own little startup and within the bigger company, that's like corporate, different hierarchy, slower decisions? Like how would you compare those two worlds? Like,
there's definitely
do get pissed off sometimes?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. Big companies have big company like behavior. And this is an industry, HVAC, heating, ventilation, and cooling, that's very analog and traditional. So you have a couple things going at play. The good news is, so our unit it's almost like a guerrilla unit, like a SWAT team that goes around, and we're in the Berlin office. It's kind of like a startup in itself, so we kind of beat to our own drum, which is very cool. Maybe to the chagrin of a lot of other traditional colleagues.
Culture within a larger culture.
Yeah, definitely. I think that what's really cool is there's a lot of people in a corporate setting that want to innovate and they want to explore the new frontier. So we basically go around finding those lighthouse teams to do that. So it's almost like getting product market fit in a sense. Like you're not going to get everyone, but who's the first ones on that curve? And that's what we're doing. Like maybe there's a team in procurement or finance or supply chain that like, hey, we this AI automation thing, we want to embrace it head on. Like help us solve, we have a ton of challenges, help us solve this. Or maybe, you know, there's a company we want to buy or whatever, like help us do that. So that's really cool. But we're not going to get everyone, the 30,000 people, but we want to find those true kind of rabid, let's get our hands dirty. But it may be like a pain in the ass to get there. And there may be like people moving against us. But again, like we could be doing that, building an external company, like getting hit in the face. But you know, we're doing that internally.
Do avoid like getting trapped in like politics? You know, that's.
There's politics all the time. There's.
How do you navigate that?
Yeah, we like to call it ego troubleshooting. There's people that are, you know, it's classic big corporate, but everything is solvable, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And there may be people that hate our guts, but you know what? That's probably a good thing.
Yeah. I'm wondering how Carrier, like it's 100 years old company.
Yes, inventor of the air conditioner. So what's super interesting is Viessmann is a traditional German family company, but actually like really forward thinking. So the son, before the acquisition and merger, the son, who's a lot younger, took over the business, fully digitized it, made English the language. No one was wearing suits anymore. So like for a German traditional company, really forward thinking. Carrier, public company, very traditional, was part of an aerospace company and then spun out. So much more on the late adopter curve for AI and stuff, and that's where we come in to help. But I think both worlds are not only for a big merger, but it's also quite fascinating to see like the juxtaposition of both. And actually the European side of the business is like way more innovative in a lot of ways, which is cool. Yeah, so it's a good spot to be over here. Not that there's not innovation happening in the States, but it's like, and that's what I meant earlier, you know, talking about like there's a lot of amazing stuff being built here. It doesn't have to all be in the US. Like it's like even more so here, so that's really cool. Yeah.
And what's like now when you're talking about like business in US and business in Europe, like did you notice any other like mindset differences? John mentioned some of them when he commented. Did you see like some other differences? Like do you think we take work, for example, we have better work-life balance in Europe, that's like well known, but I still think we are, you know, like we are productive. For example, in Split, you know, we have the sun, but you can abuse it. You can sit on a coffee 3 hours and do nothing, or you can have a quick coffee, you know, get this vitamin D instead of taking pill and go create something.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I think, and COVID helped a lot of it with this. I'm sure some of you have experienced where now it's very outcome results driven. You could be in your underwear at home, or you can be in an office, but if you're delivering and your results and your outcome driven, who cares where you are? You could be on a beach, or you could be. So I think that helps a lot, and we see that too in our business, that it's distributed, but also we do stuff in person. But you also can't hide on a beach somewhere, because eventually, you know, if you're not delivering and there's no results, then there's a breakdown. So that I think is really great. And also working smarter, not harder. Do you need to have your ass in the seat 9 to 7 every day, but you're only doing 2 hours of work? Like, get what you need to get done, and then if you want to go home or you want to go do laundry, that sort of thing. So that is, in a corporate setting, really nice. I think if you're a startup, maybe it's a little bit different, but that's really nice, I think. I think why our team likes it so much.
Yeah, and how does like 100 years old company utilize AI nowadays?
I think generally we are candidly on the late adopter curve there. I think we're doing it in a sense of, again, very bottoms up, which is cool because it's very hands-on with you know, the different teams. But I think at some point we'll need to be more aggressive and ramp it up much more. What's also good that there's a lot of other pioneer corporate companies that have done AI rollouts in an incredible way that we can look for and use as references. But I think we will find our way. It may take time, but again, it's like we're a small unit and a behemoth, so we have to choose like where our energy and impact is in a lot of ways. We may not get this business unit now focus on the right ones and find our pockets there.
What have you been building with AI lately? I know when we spoke about it, you said you have some personal stuff you're building with AI. So
there's one thing that I did, and I hope the guy isn't watching this. Even if he is, it doesn't matter. So I'm living in Germany. I need a residence permit, and I've always used an immigration lawyer to help with my residence permit, and helping navigate the local offices. Well, I used to pay like €3,000 for every residence permit, re-up.
Yeah.
So what I did was this time is I connected Claude to my email. I said like, hey, look at all the lawyer emails that I had previously and tell me what to do, which forms to fill out, etc. So I did that, and then the visa office got back to me and was like, yeah, this looks great, like come get your residence permit. So that's a small thing, but I mean, yeah, I was like, why should I pay $3,000 if I can just, test this out? Yeah. So I did that. There's stuff at work that we're doing, like automating, like we get a lot of startup inbound, so how to screen startups, and there's 3 of us. So how to use our time wisely and that sort of thing. Yeah.
How do you decide in which startups to invest? Like what traits are you looking for in those like founders? Especially since you have startup experience, are you also looking for like similar values, like like having this hustler mindset, going all in?
We focus on the core business, so companies who are building in heating and cooling, whether core business or adjacent. So we're not that broad in the corporate venture sense. Like a Salesforce Ventures would be, or a Workday Ventures, or that sort of thing, or Qualcomm. It's very focused on HVAC, it's really it's almost like a meeting of the mind, because I've been in their shoes, basically like asking people for money, which is really, really hard, and understanding them as people and what they're doing is very, very hard, and asking not like gotcha questions, but like, why are you doing this? Like, what's your motivation to build a company? Because it takes a lot of courage and guts and wherewithal to do that. And then we ask things like, do you view the market the way we view the market? So we focus on those kind of things, like the people. We're going to get into business with you. Is this a horse we want to bet on in the investing sense, or partner with, or buy, or that sort of thing?
Did you buy any startup recently?
We do a lot of M&A stuff. We did make our first investment in Europe, which was kind of cool, a couple weeks ago. A UK company that's doing a lot of AI and heat pump installations called Heat, which is super cool. And what's great is like, now that and my other 2 colleagues also have a startup background. So when we partner with this company, we then help them integrate into the business, into the corporate business of like, hey, I want to launch in the Netherlands or in Poland. So we help them basically like do 0 to 1 launches, like we get into the trenches with them. And that's something we want to do different than a lot of other corporates who like will throw money over the fence and invest in companies, but we actually want to build with them in the trenches and get them integrated into the business, which is cool. That's something new that we wanted to do. But again, like there's just 3 of us, so there's only so much bandwidth we have. So that's kind of the style in which we do it. Not only money, but like help them build a business, to get to where they want to go and the vision they have.
Now when you mentioned 0 to 1, like it's a well-known book in has anyone read it, like the 0 to 1 book?
And I say 0 to 1 just to not about the book, but just like, and I think the book
No,
kind
no,
of
but
populated, but
it's
just
an
to
interesting
describe
concept,
the phase in which you get shit off the ground, right?
Yeah, but I mean that 0 to 1 applies to life too. Like
Yes.
your move from the States to Europe was 0 to 1. You have like more maneuvers like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, and that's the beauty of like building that toolkit up, is you could do it, you know, elsewhere, even personally and professionally. Is there someone here who's thinking about going through a 0 to 1, or is going through a 0 to 1 professionally, personally? You're smiling over here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through that part. But,
Yeah.
It's more scaling and stuff.
Okay, cool.
But
Yeah.
I'm smiling because I know how you expect it to be hard, but it's impossible. So then if you don't fail, you know, it's a completely different story. But it's also good because it builds character. You
Yeah.
have to be crazy to do like, you know, startups.
What is it you're building?
How blockchain basically started with like a blockchain company and so on. So in that space.
Cool.
There for 10 years already. So
Oh, amazing.
yeah, ready for retirement basically.
Oh,
40 years
yeah,
of,
even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have a nautical business over here as well, so maybe you guys can connect.
Yeah, we know.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all
No
right.
worries.
Nice.
Small community.
Yeah, beauty of the community over here. Yeah.
Toni connects everyone.
Yeah, Tony's a local fixer over here. Yeah.
Eddie just came from South America. He spent 6 months
Oh, cool.
in that
It's
part.
an interesting area because like crypto is so used there. Like everything is digital. You
Yeah.
know, like they skip because Europe and USA it's like you know we're too well off, and then you have banking and everything, and there basically they just like skip this off and you use direct basically. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Which countries were you in?
Well, like more or less the whole kind of like Latin America. So Argentina, Brazil, Peru, and so on. So
Oh, nice.
bunch
Okay.
of them because we were like you know targeting different like markets and what are the niches. Because you know South America is a bit tricky regulatory wise,
Yes.
so it's a bit different and also how people behave. But it's like there is a lot of demand for like crypto stable coins and stuff, and they use it all the time because it, you know as you know, like they're like these currencies which are not the most stable here. So we basically explored how to use those things.
Interesting.
So,
Are you going to pursue it further, or?
absolutely, you know, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, that's
We're
great.
maybe potentially planning even opening office in like Buenos Aires or something.
Cool.
Because you have to be local. You know how
Yeah,
the
for
regulatory
sure.
stuff works.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Because Europe is
exciting.
kind of like you have everything. You have like banking infrastructure. You have access to all the stuff. It's like we can say okay, euro is this and that, but still, you know, you have everything. So there is not too much demand, especially for euro as a stable coin. But in US, obviously, now it's a big thing with the new kind of regulation and stuff. And then all these countries want US dollars, but still is a reserve currency. So
Yeah.
they save in it, use it, and so on. So it's really interesting. And now with the stable coins, like all this like cross-border transfers
Yeah.
are like pennies on a dollar, so you don't pay a lot, and it's like it's important. It's interesting.
That's cool. Do you feel like you're reinvigorated looking at a new market? I mean, you said 10 years you're into the journey.
I mean, absolutely. When we started, it was like fully anarchistic decentralization. We're going to like, change the governments, and I was like, okay, no, this is a reality check. Now, basically, the banks are the main customers. Actually integrating this stuff experimentally. So, especially now with Europe, where reindustrialization is happening, there is more push to stuff happening actually here. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, no, that's we'll have to keep jamming. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Curious to hear
Yeah.
your Brazil experience.
Oh, you got a story or?
Many stories.
Oh, okay.
By the way, some people say he's Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh, it could be. Yeah. What better place than Split?
Of course, you will be here.
No, the joke aside, like it's really interesting because like everything is integrated, everything is on your phone, and stable is the main thing. It's so nice, so fast. Like even with the bureaucracy, that it's horrible. On the other hand, you have such a digital kind of like playground. Everybody can do everything. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, amazing.
It feels much more developed than Europe and the USA, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Especially sometimes like Venmo me or this and that. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
It's like,
For
US
sure.
especially, so.
And I was going to say, Morten, we were talking about it too, because you said you're, seasoned beyond the brim. You're now starting a couple new companies.
He's 0 to 1.
Yeah. And that was what I was asking you, like the reinvigoration, not if you're in the journey already like you or doing a new one, your third, fourth, fifth act, like what does that motivation look like? Is it the same or different or more? Maybe you can share.
I think everybody's hungry now.
Yeah, well, we could, yeah.
I'm not sure, yeah, the motivation is maybe different, you know. It's just, you know, I don't know. Personally, I need something to do. I mean, I had plans, you know, not doing so much, but my wife told me get out of the house. And basically, it suits me much better to have something to do. But I mean, I don't think the motivation is that different. I wanted to solve some issue.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same I want to do now.
Yeah, and you mentioned...
it's not motivated by money or anything, it's just I want to solve it.
Definitely, and I love when you said like I'm getting back into product again, which is cool.
It's so interesting because you know, like suddenly you have like this whole new thing. Oh, it's so interesting. You know, maybe I can solve this, and you know all the problems you encounter.
Right.
That's I think the drive, because if the money is the drive, we'll never succeed in these things because it's like so short term. You know, you'll just burn out and that's it. So that's kind of, you have to be a bit crazy and you know really interested in these things.
Yeah, that's great. Nice. Cool.
Who else is going from 0 to 1? Oh, I think you are going from 0 to 1.
Yeah, but different industries.
Doesn't matter.
It's graphic design. Design studio. Start and it's kind of scaling up.
That's cool.
No, but you know, like we said, like fake it until you make it. Like he started designing like brands when you were like 16.
Yeah,
right?
it's a really interesting story because you were trying to get your foot in the door, but you weren't getting any clients. It's similar in design. You can't get the first client if you don't have a big serious job. So how I started is doing fake imaginary branding identities on weekends. Eventually it caught up. People started liking it, and now I get really. Toni is my client, faculty of economics is my client. There's a lot of clients. So.
That's amazing. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, fake him in chocolate.
Yeah.
Don't send an invoice.
Yeah, we'll give you another 2 there. That's great, man. I love the story. Yeah, that's cool.
He's gonna be a speaker at the festival.
Amazing. Very cool.
And still studying.
Wow.
His mom paid me.
I'm excited to see the video. You'll have to send it to me. I unfortunately
No,
can't
no,
join
he
you.
has. We actually talk about him giving a talk at the tech.coffee. And when he showed me presentation and like, it was like, wow, this could be an interesting talk for the festival. Like really nice message for the young people, audience. How to, you know, create something out of nothing.
That's amazing.
He has like now he made a design for the whole branding for the Faculty of Economics here in Split, while he's still being a student. And could you please share that initial impression of the first meeting when you came to the faculty?
Yeah, it's an interesting story because it was a competition. Anyone could apply, and I was competing with really big agencies in Croatia and professionals. Eventually, I won. They called me in the faculty. I had a meeting with the dean, and when I showed up, he was like, "Who is this kid?" His parents, because I came with my professor at the time, because I thought they wouldn't take me seriously. So they were thinking, is he my dad or what's happening? But eventually, when we started talking, they understood that I understand everything and we could work together. Now we are working half a year.
That's incredible.
Nowadays he goes to meetings with security guy.
Oh, I love that. That's cool. Yeah, really.
Great
That's
story.
amazing.
It's gonna be
Story.
inspiring. That's for the festivals. We have people that made like 500 mil exit, and we have people that are just starting. But it doesn't matter. External success is just reflection of like values And like last festival, we had a speaker that was like driving Uber, you know, buying his first car from saving, but you know, like generating money through Uber and then investing into building marketing agency.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you know, through Split Exit, we like to, you know, it's not all about the people that made a huge exit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they are, you know, you cannot relate to them. You can maybe somebody who's just starting out can relate more with his story and his approach than with somebody, you know, who was building a company for 15 years and then made a huge exit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's
By the way, we have, I don't know if you know where we're going to organize the next festival. Raise your hand if you know what's the location. Okay, so next festival is going to be 6th one on Žnjan Beach in the new amphitheater. So 4th of September. Add to your calendar. By the way, Ante is laughing from the background. He joined
Ante, hey man. Are you finally moved back or? Yeah. Slowly, yeah. All right, well, good to see you. I'll see you, man. Yeah, it's great.
Throw him a chocolate. He doesn't need to ask a question, you know.
What's really cool is, I mean, we knew each other virtually, Ante as well, for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Morton as well, Alan, and it's incredible to see you guys in the flesh.
Exactly, and now we are here.
Yeah, thank you.
And your passport is in my pocket.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Do we have more questions for Jordan?
I could ask a question. So if you're a junior that wants to get a job now, would you mention your DJ career in your CV or not?
I don't. Where it comes out is basically in being able to tell a story or talk about, like for example, if I'm being hired for a certain skill set, talking about the different skill sets, and then maybe the examples I give are more recent career things, but the way in which I learned to articulate things and build things and learning and failing, because that's also part of it. Like, hey, I did this thing, but it didn't work out. Here's why. So like that through line comes out, but it's more recent stuff, I'd say, because no one would care that I played music for a wedding at 12 years old. They maybe would find it like interesting and cool, but and again, depends on the job, of course. I mean, that's how I made it to the company I'm at now. Is I basically what I did was I applied, and then they were looking at a bunch of people for this marketplace business that they did, and I actually built them like a deck on like, here's how I would build the business. And I didn't talk about my previous experience. I was like, here's what I would do if I came in, and that got my foot in the door. But it was like all the stuff that I drew on, and then if they looked at the CV, great. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a piece of paper, but it was like showing value to the business that they could, they could see the possibilities from it.
Yeah. Kind of, I don't know, many people told me that just put in CV some relevant stuff, but if you were working at it, well, it's kind of your attitude now. And as Toni mentioned earlier, for example, if I was employing someone, I would rather look at 80% would be attitude and 20% would be like skills and what we did in the past,
Yeah. And I think also, I don't know if anyone else is hiring people actively or has hired people, but just also like the hands-on, can I work together with this person, and how do they view tackling problems? And again, like the stuff we're going to do together is incredibly hard. How is this going to be in the wild, and doing more live, workshopping type stuff, more hands-on things than like, where did they go to school and what did they did, which is interesting, but that stuff has to translate into the trenches in the real world business. So I think, actually a question to the audience, has anyone hired recently or is hiring? How do you think about it when you're hiring people?
I think based on 25 plus years of being involved in hiring, it's like 80-90% energy, attitude, integrity, all other things can be picked up.
Getting stuff done.
If any of those things are not in a place, it can be a PhD, it can be awards, it can be anything, but that's not everything.
Funny thing now when you mentioned PhD, once we had in Agilo a guy that just finished his PhD and he applied to work in our company. And basically we met in front of the office, and then we entered the elevator, went on the second floor where our office is, and I asked him an elevator, just out of curiosity, did you see our website? Did you know? He didn't even look at the website. It was like spray and pray. It was spray and pray. Yeah, that's interesting. But what Ivan is saying, it's even from my experience, I think it's 100% true. My biggest, my first hire was my biggest mistake ever. I told you about this experience today. Well, it might be interesting. So the guy was coming to this event in 2012, and he went bust with his company. And a very intelligent guy, and I liked him. And I asked him, I had lots of work that was coming my way, and asked him, are you able to take some of this responsibility? And he was like, yes, sure, my company is dying. And basically after a couple months, our client came from the States. And he seen that it's a serious client and that they're gonna need more resources in the future. It's it's gonna last at least a couple of years. And basically, he offered himself directly to the client when they moved back to the States. When they went back to the States. And first 2 weeks, I was like, "What the fuck? How is this possible?" I mean, I gave him trust. I even invited him to the dinner with the client so they can meet face to face. I mean, they're working on a project together. I didn't want, to keep him distant. It's all, high trust from the very beginning, even nowadays. But back then, I questioned myself. Should I give trust to people like I gave him? But then I basically, the conclusion was, the stuff he's done, it's based on his values. I have mine and I won't change because of this experience, but I'm gonna be smarter in the future when I'm hiring. And since then, I made some amazing hires like Ante, that's back there, is 13 years within the company.
Ante has the chocolate over there.
No, but without those kind of experiences, like pains, I felt terrible when I would travel to visit this client in the States. This guy will be there, and I know he's there because of I invested lots of effort, first to market my company, to attract this client, to give him opportunity. And he's 10 years older than me, and he thinks, he can, and many people in life think they can, take shortcuts. I don't know if you encountered something like this on your journey.
You mean hiring people?
Hiring some story like this, painful, something that was painful, but that made you, realize some things that made you grow, that made you make some smarter decisions after that experience.
Definitely, I think there were teams that I was on, even in the startup, the startup after Delivery Hero that I built, and finding that early team is critical, and that was really hard. So there were people that we'd done trials with that it just didn't work out. Everything from being disrespectful or a big ego, or even if they were God-given talent developer, but they just culturally didn't fit. And that was something that I had to learn and contend with, that even if they were an incredible engineer, but culturally they were just not nice, and they were mean, and they weren't, there's 4 of us, so that was hard. And I would take that personally too, because I had recruited and brought that person in, and then it didn't pan out, and I was like, oh, well, I'm a failure because I didn't create an environment, or I didn't bring in the right person. So it was, I put it on me because that wasn't the right fit. So there was that kind of stuff. You don't know till you go through that. That's not something you can learn out of a book or whatever.
I mean, it's. I still made some, bad hires later on. But it's definitely with experience, you make better decisions. Like, maybe 8 out of 10 are gonna be correct ones.
Yeah.
But gut feeling is really important. I think, that how you feel in front of somebody that's joining your team. I would say that's something that I really, give lots of attention to.
And I think that was something also that I was clouded by, of like experience or work, logos or that sort of thing, and then not listening to the gut of like the initial interactions with that person was just the sniff test was off a little bit, and but that's why we get arrows on our backs.
Does anyone else have some painful mistake they made in their own companies? Something, well, they felt like shit for a couple of weeks.
We can talk about till tomorrow.
We have time.
But yeah, it's on the same level. You go for the pedigree and stuff, and then you don't listen to your gut and you fail basically.
Yeah.
It looks good on paper, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't work with me. And I was like, it's my mistake because I'm not fitting in this. I'm a crazy guy, so you don't fit here because it's me. Like with the X,
you internalize it.
Exactly. I'm the problem line, when you go to
right.
Do you have any other question?
I could ask one. From starting your first company to now, what are some major things you thought don't matter, but learned in a way that should be focused on when creating a company?
I think the big thing which I come back to is like the output and the results of like not putting in the amount of hours for the sake of it, but actually like focusing on results, getting stuff done, especially in a startup environment where focus and getting stuff done is important. But just like hustle porn for the sake of it. I'm doing work, I'm in the office for 12 hours, but I don't get anything done, but I feel good because I was in for 12 hours. So that's something that I think I learned, and I'm sure many of you learned as well, that it's really, you get in, you get the work done, even if it's 3 really great hours of work during the day, or maybe it's 5, maybe it is 12, but it's not, an external validation or an external scorecard. It's really you being, confident in yourself that you got stuff done that you wanted to. And maybe you don't. We don't have productive days every day, but you went in and you fought the good fight, and that counts for a lot.
And what are some stuff you wouldn't do now that you did at the beginning?
I think that's definitely one of them. A lot of it, I think, is external validation, especially with the startup, where you get a lot of external love and hate and affirmations. And when you're trying to find your way and make your way, I think back to like the first company, Kiro, after delivery, like I was looking for a lot of that, because I still, even though I had it was successful delivery hero and being there, I still had that imposter, like I'm just an intern, I don't belong here. And that, I think, it took a while to shed that, and it was difficult. And like I said, I didn't really recover from that till recently. But we're always our own self-critics and hard on ourselves. But like that was something that was like, you need to do a little bit differently here, because you're only just burning yourself out.
We'll give you a group hug after the event.
Yeah, no, I'm all good mentally. I think so. I mean, I'm in Split. What's there not to love? And I'm with you guys, so it's yeah. But yeah, no, it definitely. But it's sometimes you have to like slosh through that shit to get to that like realization. Yeah.
Where is Nicholas nowadays? The guy that was
He's
CEO.
still running the company.
Still, do you see him?
I haven't seen him in years. He's still, doing his thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. German guy or?
He's Swedish.
Swedish, sure.
But yeah, Delivery Hero is globally and it's world renowned and it's successful. They also own Clovo, which I saw here.
Glovo?
The grocery delivery. Yeah. So yeah, big business and yeah, it's incredible. He's still doing it. Yeah.
I know a guy in the audience that made 0 to 1, but he didn't want to share a lot. But I'm gonna ask him about his experience of doing 0 to 1. Like he moved from Glasgow
Yes.
to Castella like 3.5 years ago. How was that 0 to 1 experience for you?
So I recently posted on LinkedIn. I was thinking about my experience over the years, why I wanted to come here. To give you some context to that, I had a great job in the UK, comfortable life, and then one day we decided, oh fuck it, we're going to do something different. That changed everything, going out of your comfort zone, coming to somewhere that's new, challenges of trying to get a new job, challenges of learning like the language, culture. I'm in my 50s, so nothing is set in stone. You just don't know what's going to happen in life. So whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, things can change all the time. Retrospectively, when you think about it, I always say you're never going to be fully in your comfort zone. It's better to try than not do anything at all. And that's what I was saying, listening to Jordan today as well. What's interesting is when I hear your experience, when you're a great storyteller, man, listening to you and how you tell the story today and where you've gone to.
Better than Trump.
Yeah.
One nothing to do with that. That's why I left.
This video is gonna be flagged on YouTube.
I actually, I used to tell people I was Canadian. Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So it's like everything. This whole 0 to 1. Just give it a go. Don't look back and think about, God, I wish I'd tried something. Just do it. That's my sort of philosophy on things now. I'm going to get everything right. Just keep trying. Consistency. Eventually get there. And when I came here as well, I had a great job. I worked at eBay. I thought everything was great. And then overnight, I just turned off the tap. All the consultants left the business, including myself, and I'm like, what do I do next? You come here, you try to establish yourself, build a network. I met Toni, this guy's key in a lot of things as well. We got talking, we decided to give something a go, so I work in business development now for Kiro. Didn't have that in my title at all. My career did not ever stay in business development. What shaped my career and how I can do the job is just what I learned over the years. I ran a business as well, had a sports business, tried, failed, sold it, and then again I've worked for large corporates, worked at university. So you try different things. It's like nothing's linear. What's interesting, it was an interesting question that Jordan posed earlier on as well. And I think about it's not actually associated with what's geographical where you are, but it's more about the change there is a generational change. I think things have become more rigid now, and I'll always, you asked a relevant point as well, that what did you say in your, like, when you go to an interview, you talk about, what you did when you were younger. That will come naturally through the conversation that you have with the individual that's interviewing you as well. You don't have to state it in your CV, but it can become part of the process. And, you know, what we talked about as well, you're more interested as a candidate at that point as well, because you're not mentioned, you're not the one with the high merits or what you did at university as well. That all helps, and particularly today, but bring something to the table. You know, people listen as well, and if you can share more about who you are, what you've done, your experiences, and how you shape that in our conversation, all plays to give advantage as well. So yeah, just getting back to Toni's point, it's like to one is just go for it, no matter what, just try.
It's a great
I knew he's gonna end this well. That's why I triggered you.
Yeah, great note to end on. Thank you, Alan. Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.